Happy Saturday, degenerates. It's Prediction Saturday, where we will predict the distributions of 110 different funds that we'll declare this week. It's a lot. We go quick. It's the fastest, about 45 minutes on YouTube, that I believe. Anyway, let's jump right in. First, we go rec shares. They declare Monday after the close, so you can't know the distribution and still get in on that one. I think that's intentional, to keep the suckers out. But anyway, as a whole, they were up 1.6%. The underlyings were up 1.78%. They captured 89%, almost 90% of the underlyings. These are growth and income. Yields are a little lower, but you can get some growth there too. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Consult with a financial advisor and do your own research. I am an income investor. I'm not about growth at the moment. I'm just stacking shares and collecting distributions and reinvesting them, but not drip. Anyway, the best yielders, TSAI, it's at 77%. I averaged the last 3 payments to come up with my yield because any one payment, they're all over the place. They've paid, the last 2 have been 40 and 48 cents. I've got the IVs in there, but let's go to NVII first. That's the NVIDIA Rec Shares Fund. Let's see what we gave them. We gave them 29 cents. They've paid 23 and 26, so it is going up. I gave them a little more, 29 cents. That's a 49% yield. TSII, which is the Tesla. By the way, Tesla earnings come out this week, so we'll keep an eye on that. TSII, I gave them 38 cents. The last 2 were 40 and 48, so a little bit down. That's a 69% yield. MSII, which is a strategy fund, 15 cents. They've paid 8 and 8 and 7. But the IV has gone way up on strategy. It's at 68.93%. I get these from Market Chameleon, if anyone's curious. They're paying 27% yield, but the IV is higher. So I do expect a higher payment, a 48% yield. COII, which is a Coinbase-based, their last 2 have been 33 and 11. That's why I don't trust any one payment, because they're all over the place. I gave them 25 cents. So that's rec shares. Let's go to YieldMax. There is a bunch. And I changed the order of these. I put them alphabetical, but these 8 funds here, Excel does not automatically pull up the price, so I have to manually put them in, and then I sorted it alphabetically like YieldMax does, but it doesn't come out exactly alphabetically. But anyway, let's go to the predictions. So BRKC, which is a Berkshire, they've paid 99 cents, and I divided that by 4 because it was every 4 weeks. Now it's weekly. They paid 53 cents. I divided that by 4. And then they paid 28 cents. I divided that by 2 because they had paid 2 weeks prior to going weekly. They were in Group A before. And then I divide that by 3. I get the average. And then, so the last payment was 28 divided by 2, about 14 cents. I gave them 17 cents. CRCO, brand new, Circle. They just paid $2.47. That was their first weekly. That's a 95% yield. So that's tough to pick when they've only paid once. But I gave them 70 cents. Down from 83. Yeah, because they were Group D. They paid 3 weeks before going weekly. So $2.47 divided by 3, 83 cents. I gave them 70. Dre, which is DraftKings, they were Group C. That was a full payment, 4-week payment. Had to divide those up. Average is 66 cents. 94% yield. I gave them 51 cents. Gamey, which is on GameStop, was also Group C, so they paid a full 4 weeks last week. Payment was actually yesterday, Friday. Average is 56 cents on a weekly basis. I gave them 71 cents. Their IV is 95% on DraftKings. HIYY, which is on Hims and Hers. By the way, let me show you Hims and Hers real quick. They tanked yesterday. Look at that. Down 15%. Why? Because the CEO, Andrew Dudum, sold 11 million in shares, totaling 29.3 million, sold since mid-July. So he sold a bunch. Market reacted. So they're averaging 69 cents based on a weekly payment. I gave them 58 cents. That's still a 74% yield. Robly, which is on Roblox, averages 90 cents. I gave them 67 cents. I dropped them down because the IV is not what they're paying more than the IV, and I always like to bring it back towards the IV. Ready, which is on Reddit, averages 49 cents. I gave them 46. Salty, which is the short ultra option income, they've been weekly. Last two were 60 and 46 cents. Gave them 57. Aptly, which used to be monthly, averages 8 cents on a weekly basis. I gave them 7 cents. Abney, which is Airbnb, averages 6 cents. That's a 42% yield. I gave them 7 cents, which is 38%. AIYY averages 3 cents. That's a 55% yield. I gave them 3 cents, which will be a 59% yield. I'm sorry, the yield is 64. I'm taking them down to 59, another 3 cents. GPTY, people love that one. What were their last payments? 30 cents and 31 cents. Again, they've been weekly. So I gave them 31. Let's go down some more. And obviously YieldMax has the most funds that we cover. 50 something of them. So we'll go quick. AMD, which is AMD, averages 14 cents. We gave them 12 cents, 63% yield. AMZY averages 11. We gave them 9, 34% yield. Babo, I love Babo. They're averaging 27 cents on a weekly basis, which is an 89% yield. It's a cheap fund. It's $15. I do own that one. So averaging 27, I gave them 19. Ybit averages 9 cents a share. I gave them 9 cents a share. Coney, my second largest holding. I'm thinking of selling that just so I can reallocate for some better yields. They're still paying 72%, and I'm almost on house money on that one, but I'll have to look. Averaging 10 cents on a weekly basis. I gave them 9 cents. LFGY, Let's Freaking Go Y. Everyone loves that one. Annualized yield is 72. I gave him 51 cents, 72% yield. Carvani averages 48 cents. I gave him 48 cents. Disso, Disney. Does anyone own Disso anymore? I don't know. I don't. Averages 7 cents on a weekly basis. I gave him 6. Feet and Fivey, I'm going to do them together. Does anyone own Feet and Fivey? Feet's 38 cents average. Fivey 28 cents. Those are the Dorsey Wright funds and the Dorsey Wright hybrid. I gave him 38 and 28. Same thing. Let's go down some more. We're getting there. GDXY averages 18 cents weekly. I gave him 14. GUI, which is Google, averages 14 cents. I gave him 11. Hui, everyone loves Hui. That thing is been unbelievable. Up in price and paying 91% yield since they launched. Averages $1.14 on a weekly basis. I gave them 94 cents, bringing them back down a little bit because they're paying more than the IV. OARC, one of the OGs of YieldMax. Them and Tesla, I believe, were the first two. Averages 9 cents. I gave them 8 cents. JPMO, JP Morgan, averages 8 cents. Gave them 7 cents. YMAG, last two payments were 20 and 20. A little consistent. The payment before that was 9, so that consistent. So they paid 20 and 20. I gave them 17. Morrow averages 31 cents weekly. I gave them 31 cents. Phoebe, Facebook, Meta. By the way, Yield Boost is coming out with a Meta fund on a double leverage, so that'll be interesting. Can't wait till they do a fund of funds, but haven't heard any news on when that's going to come out. But they'll do it. Phoebe's averaging 10 cents per distribution. That's on a weekly basis. I gave them 9. Murney, I converted them to weekly payments. They're averaging 2 cents. But remember, this is $1.69 a share, so that's a 71% yield. It is degenerate. So averaging 2, I gave them 2. 63% yield. That'll bring it down because their one payment was higher. Anyway, let's keep going. We're getting there. MSFO, Microsoft, averages 8 cents a share payment. I gave them 7. Misty. Now, for you Misty haters, yes, the price has gone down, but not as much as the yield has been paying. You know, they're down, I don't know, like a lot. But they're yielding, based on the last 3, 108%. That is a annualized yield based on the weekly payments, averaging 24 cents. What'd I give them? 22 cents. Bring it down, still 100% yield. So for you haters, the second highest yielder of YieldMax is the inverse of Misty. It's Winter, 104%. They're averaging 62 cents a week now. I gave them 58 cents, under 100%, 98% yield. Still awesome. And if you're getting bearish on the market, that's a good fund to buy, because that will go up in value as the market goes down. QDTY, last payment was 24. I think I gave him 24. Yep, 24. 27% yield. NFLY, Nefli, averages 10 cents a week. I gave him 10 cents. NVDY, NVIDIA, averages 16 cents a week. I gave him 16 cents. PLTY, Platy on Palantir. I do own that. Been very happy with that one. Averages 72 cents a week. That is a 62% yield. I gave him 63 cents, so a little bit of a drop. PayPal, which is PayPal or PP, averages 7 cents a week. I gave him 7 cents. RDTY, last payment was last two were 36 and 26, so a little all over the place. What'd I give him? 31. SDTY, that's the lowest yielder of YieldMax based on the way I calculate, 18%. That's still awesome. I mean, you can't get that in a mutual fund. Again, not financial advice. They paid, let's see, 15 cents and 14 cents. I think I gave them more. Gave them 16 cents. Fiat, another good one to own if you're bearish. That is the inverse on Coinbase. Averaging 5 cents per week, which is a 96% yield. Remember, this is only a $2.57 fund. So averaging 5, I gave him 4. YQQQ averages 5 cents. I gave them 5 cents. Dips, that's an inverse on NVIDIA. Another one to consider if you're bearish, and the market is overbought. Proved that yesterday. But it did come back some, so that was good to see. Averaging 6 cents, gave him 6 cents. Crash, which is the Tesla inverse, is averaging 4 cents per week. I gave him 4 cents, 62% yield. Chippy, the chip stocks, chip fund. Their last payments were 43 and 40 cents. I gave them 42 cents, so right in the middle there. SIMC, which is on SMCI, averages 28 cents per the last 3. I gave them 25 cents, a little bit of a drop. SNOI, which is a snowflake fund, averages 20 cents a week. I gave him 16 cents. I dropped him a little bit. Tesla. Everyone's loved Tesla, then hated Tesla, and I think people are starting to love it again. I love it. I've always loved it because it's paying. It's paying a 83% yield based on the average of the last 3. The average is 13 cents. Tesla has been up. I gave him 11 cents. TSMY averages 15 cents a week. I gave him 13 cents. Ulti, love Ulti. It has dropped, but it's still averaging 89% yield. It's a $5 fund paying 9 cents a week, and it's been consistently 9 cents. So guess what? I gave him 9 cents again. I'm going to keep giving him 9 cents until they change it. YMAX, I think, will be a little more stable now. They paid 13, 14, 17. Averages 15. I think I gave them 15. I think these will all be more stable since they've gone weekly. We'll see. Zomo, which is ExxonMobil, averages 6 cents a week. That's a 26% yield. I gave them 5 cents, a 23% yield. XYZY averages 8 cents a week. That's 49% yield. I gave them 8 cents, which will be a 48% yield. So that's Yield Max. That's a lot to cover. We got some more to go, but that's obviously the most holdings are in Yield Max. Let's go to Defiance. Defiance was down 2.5 as a whole. The underlyings were down 1.5, so they did capture more of that loss. But let's go to the predictions. MST, which is a strategy, averages 14 cents, 118% yield. I gave them 13 cents, 105% yield. AMDU, which is AMD, they were way up and way down. They've been all over the place. Averages 30 cents. I gave them 29 cents. Ethi, this is a new one I've added. I think they've made 3 payments. It's an Ethereum base. 34 cents, 33 cents, 23 cents. So it is dropping. So I'm pretty sure I dropped them again. I didn't pick one. But it's the same formula. So 24 cents. Average is 30. Still a 92% yield. So if you want some Ethereum exposure, that's a good one. Hemi, I got to talk about, we talked about how far it's gone down. Hemi, the Defiance Fund, went down 27% yesterday. Hims and Hers, 15%. It went down more because they use leverage. Its yield is 67%. I'm sorry, 145% yield on Hemi. They're averaging 49 cents a share, way over the IV of Hims and Hers, so I did drop them to 35 cents. That's still 103% yield. Huai, which is a Robinhood base, averages 27 cents a share. I gave them 29 cents. I gave them a raise. 70% yield. PLT, Palantir, averages 20 cents. These are all weekly now. Well, these have been weekly. I gave them 18 cents. SMCC, which is SMCI, averages 34 cents. I gave them 35. QLDY paid 19, 19, 19. So what do you think I gave them? Yes, well, why didn't some of these aren't populating, but I can just copy and paste, and 39. Yeah, that's not right. Oh well, I'm just going to take that out and figure that out later. WDTE, which is an S&P fund, averages, let's see, what's the last few? 20 cents, 23 cents. I gave them 21 cents. QQQY, they paid 19 cents and 21 cents. I gave 17 cents, 36% yield. IWMY, I love, that is a Defiance on the Russell. They're paying 55% yield. It's pretty consistent. 22, 23, and 24 cents have been the payments. I think I gave them right in the middle at 23. No, 24. USOY, which is a U.S. oil. They've paid 9 cents, 9 cents, 8 cents, 67% yield. 9 cents. GLDY, gold. Gold's on a tear. Is it overbought? I don't know. I think it was so underbought for a long time. So the rise in gold may continue, but who knows? Don't ask me. Not financial advice. They paid 13 cents, 18 cents, 22 cents. So that is on the rise. Did I keep it? Nope, 18. I brought them back down to 18. That's a 51% yield. So the average yield of Defiance is 70.89%. I gave them an average of 66% for the declarations this week. Yield boost. Everyone loves yield boost. Let's go right to the picks. Oh, and I didn't cover these up, but that's fine. COYY, which is a double leverage Coinbase, CONL is the underlying. They've averaged 47 cents. That's 175% yield. Winner of yield boost. I gave them 44, still a 161% yield, 44 cents. TSYY, my biggest position, they're averaging 21 cents. I gave them 19, still 127% yield. I'm bringing them back down because they're overpaying the IV of the underlying, and the underlyings are the double leverage. So that's why these IVs are so high, because they're double of what the single underlying would have been. Ahoy Métis. That is the double leverage Robinhood. ROBN is the ticker of the underlying. They're averaging 65 cents. I gave them 63 cents, 149% yield. SMYY, which is a SMCI, double leverage is SMCX. They trade on that. They do protective puts, sell puts. It's just a put credit spread. You're very capped on the upside, but in a bull market, you're making money, and that's what they're showing. In a bear market, we'll have to keep an eye on that. But anyway, SMYY is averaging 69 cents. I gave them 75 cents because they're paying under the IV. So I brought them up to a 158% yield. That might compete with COYY next week. We'll see. PLYY, Palantir double leverage based, averages 46. I gave them 53 cents. 115% yield. These declare Thursday, X-date is Friday, payday is the next Tuesday. So these don't pay next week. They do, but these guesses are based on the following week. But they're based on this week's declarations, if that makes sense. MTYY, which is a strategy double leverage, averages 39 cents. I gave them 44 cents, 124% yield. XBTY averages 34 cents, 113% yield. I gave them 31 cents, 100% yield. NVYY, I do own this one, double leverage NVIDIA, averages 44 cents, 100% yield. I gave them 41 cents, 91% yield. Brought them down a little. AMYY averages 47 cents. This is an AMD double average based. I gave him 52. Gave him a raise, 106%. AZYY, the lowest yielder of Yield Boost, is 51%. Can you believe this? I don't own this one, but it's not degenerate enough, but you know what I mean. They're averaging 22 cents. I gave them 30 cents, 67% yield. TQQY, which is the Qs, double leverage Qs, they trade on it, averages 18 cents a week. I gave them 20 cents. That's a 57% yield. And YSPY, triple leverage on the SPY, averages 19 cents a week. I gave them 19 cents, 50% yield. So they're yielding 109.04% on average. And I brought it up just a tiny bit. The average of the guesses are 109.23. So that's Yield Boost. Income Blast, there's only one. You know I've been talking about it. It's BitK. They trade, it's a covered call strategy similar to YieldMax. And on iBet, they've been down, but I have been buying on the way down. They have a bunch of new ones coming out, which I have down here, I believe November 5th. I'll need to verify that. They're from Tuttle Capital. They're averaging 76 cents. They've only paid twice. I'm sorry, they paid 3 times, $1.50, 50 cents, 30 cents. So it is trending down. The average is still 76 cents. That's 185% yield. So I imagine I'll bring them down because that IV just doesn't make sense with what they're doing. But new funds, I think, pay higher just to bring in some money, get people interested. Then they come back down to earth. So I gave them 49 cents, down from 50, up from 30 cents. That's 117% yield. We will take that. Roundhill. Let's go back to the top. WPay. They declare Monday. Their payments have been, the last two have been 73 cents and 85 cents. They've gone up. I gave them 82 cents. YBTC, last payment was 38 cents. I gave them 39. YETH, YETH, or YETH, another Ethereum fund. Last payment was 34 cents. I gave 37 cents. That's an 82% yield. So they get a raise from me. XDTE, which is S&P, 0 days to expiration. Their last payment was 21 cents. I gave them 20 cents. QDTE, which is the NASDAQ. 0 DTE, of course. Their last payment was 20. I think I gave them 20. 21, 30% yield. RDTE, which is a Russell. Last payment was 22 cents. I gave them 27 cents. They get a raise too. Maggie, that's the Mag 7. Their underlying is Mags. It's a Roundhill fund called Mags, and this does covered calls on Mags. They have averaged 37 cents per week. We gave them 34. AAPW, these are the single stocks now. They declare Fridays. They're at 33 cent average. I gave them 27. AMDW, which is AMD, averages $1.11. That's a 87% yield. I brought them down to 98, a 76% yield. AMZW, which is Amazon, averages 44 cents. I gave them 40 cents. Let's go down some more. We're almost done, guys. Hang in there. AVGW, AGO, averages 79 cents. Gave them 64 cents. I dropped them. BRKW, which is Berkshire, averages 26 cents. I think I brought them down too, because they're overpaying on the IV. Down to 21. COIW, which is a Coinbase, averages 83 cents, 115% yield. I gave them 67 cents, 93% yield. Because all the round hills seem to be overpaying. Especially, these are newer, so I think, that's intentional. But we'll just kind of play it out, see what happens. GOOW, which is Google, averages 58 cents. I gave them 54 cents. WHOW, the winner of Roundhill, 139% yield, averages $1.83 per week. It is a $68 fund. Launched at $40 in June, so you got growth and income, even though it's kind of not intended for that, but that's solid. So averages $1.83. I gave him $1.41. METW, Meta, averages 45 cents. I gave him 41. MSFW, which is Microsoft, averages 37 cents. I gave them 31. MSTW, which is Strategy, averages 55 cents. Gave them 45 cents. That's a 90% yield. NFLW, Netflix, averages 44 cents. I gave them 39. And just a few more here. NVDW, that's NVIDIA, averages 85 cents, which is a 95% yield. I gave them 61 cents. I dropped them quite a bit. PLTW averages 91 cents, which is 104% yield. That's Palantir based. I gave them 77 cents, 88% yield. So I think I dropped all these lower payments. TSLW, which is Tesla, averages 74 cents. That's 100% yield. I gave them 59 cents and 80% yield. So they're yielding 68% on average. I brought my guesses were down to 59% yield. I think they're overpaying, and I could be totally wrong. I usually am. So one more. Bitwise, 4 funds. They pay monthly, so you don't hear me talk about them too much. But they declare this week. They declare Thursday. X date is Friday, and then they'll pay the following Tuesday. And they've had massive yields. Let's look at annualized yield. iKoi, that's a Coinbase, 237% based on the last 3. It's a $32 fund, and they're averaging $6.40 every 4 weeks. So crazy. The worst of Bitwise is IMRA, which is Amara based, averaging 91%. That's their worst one. So you can believe that. We'll start with IMST, which is a strategy. They're averaging 338. I gave them 285. That's 117%. iKoi, one of my larger holdings, because of the yield, 237%. I'm going to bring that down, though, because it's way over the IV. These aren't double leverage either, so they're just paying a ton of money. Averages 640. This is iKoi. I gave him 478. That's a 177% yield. I will still take that. IMRA, which is the Mara, averages 289. I gave him 366. They got a raise. 115% yield. Because look at the IV on Mara, 103%. And they're only paying 91, so I gave them a raise. IGME, which is GameStop, they just had their third payment 4 weeks ago. It was $3.20. The average is $2.84. I gave them $2.62. A little bit of a drop. So that's the guesses. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you don't. Hit the little bell so your notifications are on all. You'll receive a notification of all my videos. I try to do one every day, but I do at least 5 a week, I would say. And again, that's all I got for today. Have a wonderful Saturday. Tomorrow I will do my top 10 of all the funds I cover. And I usually buy number 1 on Monday. So that's how degeneracy works. Anyway, have a great day, and we'll see you on the other side.